Army storm. Jungkook's appetite is a hot topic. The social media world is heating up again. This time it's not about new music, nor about the grand stage or BTS's global record, but something that sounds trivial but actually triggers a long debate. Jungkook's appetite. Yes, just from a few simple snippets of what and how Jungkook eats, armies around the world suddenly fuss, argue, and voice each other with emotions that are not kidding. It all started with a series of videos and photos. Jungkook is seen enjoying a large portion of food, honest facial expressions, without any effort to maintain the image as a perfect idol. There are moments when he eats with gusto. There are also times when he seems so enthusiastic about discussing his favorite food. For some army, this moment feels adorable and human. But for some others, it raises concerns, speculation, to inevitable criticism. Jungkook's name is always under the spotlight. As BTS's golden mean, whatever he does almost never goes unnoticed. The possible appetite for food for ordinary people is personal, turning into a matter of public discussion when attached to a figure of Jungkook's class. Some praised her honesty for not pretending, others questioned whether her diet was safe given her hectic schedule and the physical demands of being a world-class performer. The debate widened. On the one hand, the supportive army insists that Jungkook has the right to enjoy any food without having to be judged. They see this as proof that Jungkook remains himself in the midst of the pressures of the entertainment industry that often demands physical perfection. For this group, the way Jungkook eats is actually a symbol of freedom and honesty that other idols rarely have. But on the other hand, worries appear wrapped in the pretext of caring. There is an army that considers that large portions or certain food choices can have an impact on Jungkook's health in the long term. This concern often turns into sharp criticism, even advice that feels patronizing. This is where the fine line between caring and controlling comes into question. Jungkook's raging appetite also reflects the unique relationship dynamics between idols and fans. Jungkook is not just a singer or performer on stage. He has become an emotional figure for millions of people. What he eats, how he laughs, until his little habits seem to belong to the public. This condition makes every little detail easy to misinterpret and exaggerate. Not a single one of them has anything to do with Jungkook's past. He is known as a figure who from a very young age has assumed great responsibilities. Hard training schedules, the pressure to always look perfect, and a life far from normal make many soldiers feel protective. When he saw Jungkook eating with gusto, some felt relieved because it was a sign that he was enjoying life. But some others are just anxious, afraid that their beloved idol neglects health. Interestingly, Jungkook himself never directly responded to this commotion. His silence only added to the heat of the discussion. Some interpret silence as a form of indifference to negative comments. Others see it as an adult way not to magnify issues that should be personal. In his silence, Jungkook seemed to show that he chose to live his life without the need to explain every little thing to the public. The media did not stop the fire. Sensational titles sprang up, packaging Jungkook's appetite as a phenomenon or controversy. But if it is withdrawn, the essence of the problem is simple. A human being enjoys food. But when the subject is BTS's Jungkook, that simplicity evaporates, replaced by multi-layered interpretations, assumptions, and opinions. This uproar eventually opened up a wider discussion among the army. About the boundary between attention and intervention. About the idol's right to his own body and choice. About how fandom sometimes forgets that behind a big name and global image, Jungkook is still an ordinary man with personal tastes, habits, and desires. Many army began to call for reflection. Does loving an idol mean managing every aspect of his life? Or is it just to give them space so they can breathe as humans? Jungkook's appetite becomes a huge mirror that reflects how fandom views their own idols. In the midst of this frenzy, one thing became clear. Jungkook remains Jungkook. A figure who is what he is true to himself, and is not afraid to show his human side. Whether it's her golden voice on stage or the way she enjoys a plate of food, she continues to be the center of attention, both in praise and debate. Army may fuss today. The media may continue to discuss, and opinions will continue to spin. But in the end, The issue of Jungkook's appetite reminded everyone that behind the glitter of the K-pop industry, there are humans who have the right to live their own way. And perhaps that's precisely where Jungkook's true charm lies, being able to make the world go wild just by being himself. This debate, which has not subsided, is slowly turning into something deeper than just a matter of food. Jungkook's appetite is now like a symbol, as if it represents many things that have been hidden in the minds of the army. There is affection, there is worry, there is also a sense of wanting to have that involuntarily grows excessive. From one small topic, the discussion widened to idol mental health issues, the pressure of body standards in the Korean entertainment industry, to the ethical limits of fandom in commenting on the personal lives of their idols. Some of the army began comparing Jungkook to other idols who seemed much more secretive about their eating habits. They considered Jungkook's openness to be a mistake in the eyes of the public who are accustomed to demanding perfection. And therein lies his courage. Jungkook doesn't feature an excessively curated version of himself. It does not hide hunger, does not pretend to eat a little for the sake of image. And this courage, ironically, became the trigger for the commotion. On the fan community platform, the debate even turned emotional. Some felt that Jungkook was not taken care of properly, while others responded harshly that Jungkook was not a child who needed to be watched every mouthful of food. Sharp sentences sprung up, showing how this issue touched the deepest emotional layers of the fans. Jungkook is no longer just an idol, but a figure who is considered close personally by millions of people who actually never knew him in person. On the other hand, many army adults actually see this phenomenon as an alarm. They consider this fuss dangerous because it shifts the focus from the work to the body. Jungkook's music, message, and journey as an artist seem to be sidelined by debates about what he eats and how much he serves. They reminded that it is this kind of pressure that has haunted the K-pop industry for years and left deep wounds for many idols. Not a few also associate Jungkook's appetite with the difficult times he has passed. There is a narrative that his eating habits were the result of years of hard training, lack of rest, and extreme stress from a young age. This narrative causes sympathy, but at the same time opens the door to speculation that is not always healthy. What was initially empathy slowly turned into a baseless assumption. Interestingly, some of the army actually found strength in Jungkook's simplicity. To them, seeing Jungkook eat voraciously is a comforting form of honesty. In a world full of imagery, Jungkook comes as a reminder that being human is natural, including feeling hungry and enjoying food. The group's reactions tend to be calmer, but remain vocal in defending Jungkook's right to his own body and choices. Over time, this commotion has also given rise to discussions about how media and algorithms work. The snippet of Jungkook's meal video was replayed, zoomed in, given a provocative title, and then spread without context.